has joined, perhaps we can, those of us who are on the call, maybe we could have a short discussion on anything from yesterday that you remember that we discussed. What all ideas, concepts we discussed. Anyone would like to share? Anything that you remember from our discussion yesterday? Any thoughts? We can do a quick recap. Yes, Asha ji. Okay. Asha ji is not trying to speak. Yeah, anyone? Do you remember anything that जिस पे हमने कल बातचीत की थी?
Yes, madam.
जी अमित.
Yesterday we talked. First, we discussed about difference between assessment and evaluation, and after that we discussed how we should assess the student, and three things that what. And about learning, we learned off learning, core learning, and as learning. We discussed all those things.
Right. Thank you so much. Anyone else wants to add anything? So we discussed the approaches as of learning. We discussed the difference between assessment evaluation. Anything else that anyone remembers?
Hello.
जी मैम.
We discussed about how to design principles of assessment, and in that we came to know about 5 main principles of assessment.
Thank you, Usha ji. Is there anything in particular that you remember about the 5 principles?
Yeah, scaffolds learning, and then empowers learning.
That's great.
5, I think.
Yeah.
Reliable.
Right.
It should be reliable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a teamwork. It's a teamwork.
Teamwork. Yes. Collaboration.
Yes, collaboration.
And anyone remembers what is A?
And one more was, I don't remember. Sorry.
No problem, Michelle. You remember a lot. So anyone remembers what does A stand for in the acronym?
Yes, ma'am. It's aligned to purpose.
Absolutely. So what is the other word that we use for align to purpose? There was one more word we used. When an assessment is aligned to its purpose, it is also called a valid assessment.
Okay.
Yeah. Very often what happens is that we think we are assessing child's competencies, but actually what we are ending up assessing is just their rote learning, right? So we saw some examples of how it is necessary to align the learning outcomes with the content of the assessment. So great. Thanks a lot, Usha ji. Anyone else? Anything else you remember from yesterday about the approaches of assessment? Or anything else? What did we discuss under assessment as learning? Does anyone remember? The importance of assessment as learning and what is assessment as learning?
As learning, we have to monitor ourselves, what we are achieving, what we have done, and what improvement in ourselves we can do. You gave the example of Mr. Hussein Bolt, how he compared himself with his own abilities and he improved himself.
Thank you, sir. And absolutely. And any reason why we think assessment as learning is important in school education?
Hello,
Ji,
ma'am. A student or an individual is able to judge and reflect on his or her strengths and weaknesses
absolutely. Yeah. And why is that judgment necessary?
for self-development, self-reflection.
Right. Absolutely. And also because one of the aims of education talks about independence of thought and action, right? So if we have to
And there should be no comparison.
Ji,
We also came
absolutely.
to know here that there should be no comparison.
Right, right. Absolutely. We also discussed a lot about formative assessment and the need for shifting from summative assessments to formative assessments. Anyone would like to share what we discussed under formative assessment? Any proverb that we use to understand the difference between summative and formative? Any cartoon that we used? Meera ma'am, are you trying to say something? Meera Anil. Yeah, anybody? Anyone wants to try anything that we discussed in the difference between summative and formative assessment? We had used an analogy yesterday, an example. Anyone wants to, anyone remembers what we discussed under formative and summative assessments? Anything that you remember?
It scaffolds learners, and in summative assessment, it evaluates learners.
Right, absolutely.
And one more thing, in formative assessment, it involves both teachers and students,
Right,
and
absolutely.
also helps the teachers to reflect.
Right. Absolutely right, ma'am. And we also
Improve learning.
yeah, so we said that formative assessment helps in improving learning, while summative assessment is more about proving the learning, right? How much
Yeah.
learning has happened. We also spoke about the importance of feedback, right? Under formative assessment. So we also discussed that while we may be informally assessing children through the day, but it is important that that information becomes relevant for us in improving the quality of the child's learning.
The feedback is constructive.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
The feedback should be constructive, like Madam said. And what we mean by constructive feedback? Can anyone give an example of what is a constructive feedback? Say, for instance, in math, in mathematics, or in social science, what can be a constructive feedback? Or in science, or in language? Anyone can try? What can be a constructive feedback in any of the subjects? You may have given a lot of constructive feedback to your children. So, anyone wants to share your experience? Anyone, there are no right or wrong answers here. All answers are welcome.
Ma'am, in yesterday's feedback from Google Sheet, you given one example of that scale. It was broken, 2 centimeter. It was broken. Those who has written 10 centimeters, if we say it is wrong or right, that's not formative. Only triggering that, see, think of that those first 2 centimeters, triggering that thought itself is a constructive assessment, I think.
Right. So your questions have to be such that can trigger the thought process of the child. Absolutely. But what is the feedback that you give to the child when you see that the child has measured the length of the broken ruler incorrectly? What will you consider a constructive feedback in that situation? Yeah, anyone wants to try? Or in any other situation, say suppose a child has made you have asked the child to write an essay on a particular topic and the child has not written a satisfactory essay as per your satisfaction. What kind of constructive feedback can you give the child? Anyone, what do you think? You must have given feedback to students, right? Because you said that y'all have been doing CCE in your state for very long. So in continuous and comprehensive evaluation, one of the main things is to give feedback, right? Under continuous assessment. And also comprehensive feedback, not just cognitive level feedback, but also affective domain, psychomotor domain. Anyone? I know if we were doing this face to face, it would have been much more comfortable, but because of the pandemic, this is the best we can do. I'd really like to hear your thoughts. How any thoughts on how can you give constructive feedback to students? Yeah, anyone? Do you give feedback to students? Or it's not a practice yet in Chhattisgarh? Can anyone tell me if it is part of your practice to give feedback to students? I am not aware of whether it is practiced in Chhattisgarh or not.
Their practice, we give feedback, madam. Only thing
Okay.
is, we give feedbacks to children, madam. Only thing is what you are asking.
Maybe at that level we don't give feedback. So what kind of feedback do we give, Amitji, for in Chhattisgarh to children?
What what are the assignment we have given? What they have done according to that, something we give to improve their learning. What they have done, something to improve them. We give feedbacks, madam.
Okay. Okay. So we give some task specific uh, feedback to the children. Okay. Great. So yesterday, I think some of us remember, many of us have not spoken. I am assuming that um, you can, perhaps you will, there is some issue here, some annotation has started. Don't know how to stop it. Yeah. So what we will do in today's session, like I said, that we couldn't discuss CCE yesterday. So we will spend about 10-15 minutes talking about CCE. And Vandana ma'am is not there today, but yesterday we had discussed that we will also share some ways of how to design assessments, where you can collect both quantitative information about the child's learning, where you can give quantitative marks as well as you can give lot of qualitative remarks to the child. Okay. So, as we all know that India has had a long history of assessment reform, right? Uh, in the pre-independence time, we had certain commissions which were set up for higher education, for board examinations, and they decided how centralized examinations should happen. Once we got independence up to the National Policy of Education 1968 and then up to 1986, we had two policies where gradually the focus was shifting towards one-time assessments to more periodic assessments. There was a lot of discussion around continuous assessment even in the 1960s after the 1968 education policy. There was talk about how we should not only focus on marks but we should also focus on grades. There was discussion around how we should include not just the scholastic areas but also co-scholastic areas because they are equally important aims of education. So a lot of things were happening through the 1960s, 70s, 80s. Now, the other big shift that happened in the 80s, many of you also spoke about it, were the minimum levels of learning, which was the first time when we felt that there should be competency based education. And in our country, we try to understand what are the competencies that school education should try to develop among children, right? But very soon the MLLs were critiqued because there was a criticism that the MLLs are trying to reduce the competencies into very specific tasks. But a competency is much more holistic, a competency is much more comprehensive. So the MLLs were soon replaced, and after a couple of years, we saw that there were new things that the NCRT came up with. Like they came up with this whole idea of learning indicators, and much later they came up with the idea of learning outcomes. Right. So the MLLs were gradually replaced. Is someone saying something? No sound? Can you not hear me? Hello?
Clear, madam.
It is clear? Okay. So now, so since the 1980s to 2000 and, in the 90s and the 2000s, there's been a lot of shift in assessment. One is the shift towards making assessment under the Yashpal Committee work, Learning Without Burden. In 1992-93, we spoke about the need for reducing the stress, the anxiety that comes with examination, and that can only reduce if we don't look at assessment only as examination or testing, but we use assessment from the point of view of learning, development, reflection, right? Through the 90s and 2000s, we also saw the coming of continuous and comprehensive evaluation under the Right to Education Act, and it got instituted across schools. We had the no detention policy, which came in vogue, right? Because we said that no child should be penalized by being failed a particular year, because it is the responsibility of the school education system to ensure that the child achieves the relevant competencies and skills that are needed, right? And the whole idea behind continuous assessment was to judge these gaps in the child's learning on time and then provide the necessary learning scaffolding to the child, right? But we also know that in the last 10 years, we have seen various dilutions of CCE. And in many cases, the no detention across the country was rolled back, because what we found were teachers were not following the spirit of CCE. And much of it was not their fault also, because many times there were so many formats that had to be filled up that teachers got overwhelmed. Like many of you have said, that CCE just became a show off. Some of you have written in your assignment that CCE just became a show off. And that is why the whole purpose of a very beautifully crafted policy somehow could not see its main objectives. Okay. In the last 10 years, we have also seen a lot of talk about learning outcomes based education. And I believe that SCRT, in collaboration with NCRT, also has a module on learning outcome based teaching. I have seen that module, and some of you may be aware of how to do what are the learning outcomes with NCRT and all of that. One of the biggest breakthroughs in the last 10 years, in fact, as recent as last 1 month, has been the new education policy. And I would like to take this opportunity to share with you the 5 to 6 key ideas on the new education policy, right, about assessment. So, because this is going to direct our actions for the next 20 years of how we plan, how we design, and how we use assessments in our country. Okay. So the first thing that the new education policy in very emphatic terms says that there should be regular formative assessment. So those of us who do not know what formative assessments are, how formative assessments are, how to give feedback, this is the time to learn it. Because if you're not able to learn it, then there is no way that you can achieve the goals set out in the new education policy. The policy also talks about this absolutely dismissing the whole coaching culture where there are 10, 20, 40 questions that you are rote learned and you just go and vomit in the exam and you pass. So that culture of coaching where you cram answers and everything has to be stopped, and that can only stop if we make a shift from rote memorization to competency based, higher order thinking, critical thinking, and conceptual clarity, right? A lot of policies have spoken about this, but in the new education policy, this has been emphatically again mentioned that this is the time for us to, absolutely say no to rote learning. And the only way we can make it happen is if we transform the way we do our assessments, right? So minimize the number of textbook questions that come in your board exam papers. Stop asking what questions, ask more why questions, how questions, if questions, right? Imagine questions, reflect questions. So ask more of that. Try to understand what your child is thinking, not what you want the child to think. Okay. So very important to make that shift. The NEP clearly talks about the approaches of assessment and says that we should include of, for, and as all three approaches of learning. So yesterday, whatever you learned and discussed, and to the extent you understood, that has to be imbibed as principle, because assessment as learning for learning is necessary if you are assessing dispositions, right? You cannot say whether the child is creative or is not creative. You have to make the child creative, right? And you can only make the child creative if the child is given an opportunity to self-reflect on their creativity. The fourth and very important thing that the NEP talks about is a 360-degree report card. So a report card which not only gives marks and numbers, 60%, 70%, A, B, C, D, but it gives qualitative comments. So yesterday what Vandana ma'am was asking, कि qualitative comments हमें देना जरूरी है, क्योंकि otherwise how are we doing comprehensive education and assessment? Right? So giving qualitative comments, if you find that the child is empathetic, if you find that the child is caring, if you find that the child can make friends, you give an overall holistic picture of the child's capabilities. Again, the NEP talks a lot about self and peer assessment, and they say that the teacher, again, like we discussed yesterday, that the teacher should empower learners to do self-assessment, right? Because children will not suddenly one fine morning get up and start becoming self-assessors. Right? They have to be slowly scaffolded into doing self-assessment. I'll also share with you some self-assessment checklists as we go along. And the last and foremost thing that the NEP talks about are radical reforms in board exams. So we all are threatened by board exams all the time, and we think that it is either going to make our future or break our future, right? So yesterday we discussed about Ranchhod Das Chanchad also, no? कि कामयाबी के पीछे नहीं, काबिलियत के पीछे जाओ. अगर काबिलियत के पीछे जाओगी तो कामयाबी झक मार के आपके पीछे आएगी, है ना? एक सर ने इस बात को रखा था. So very important that the board exams should not be a test of your success, but it should be a test of your capability, right? And in order to do that, there has to be more validity in the assessment process, in the kind of questions that are asked. There should be more flexibility for the child to take the board exams more than once a year. There should be more choice. It's not necessary कि if a child has studied physics, then the child cannot take a social science subject. So a lot of board exam reforms are also proposed to make this whole process of education more liberal, more flexible, and more competency based. So keeping all of this in mind, the obvious thing for us to understand is what is the relationship between CCE and what the new education policy is saying. Okay. So there are at least 4 things, and since all of you know about CCE, I'm not going to talk about CCE, but I want to show you the relationship between the goals of the new education policy and the goals of CCE. So if you see that there are at least 4 things which are very common between what the new education policy is saying and what CCE has been suggesting us to do, right? So we all know that continuous and comprehensive evaluation is rooted in the idea of formative assessment, assessments of and for assessments for and as learning, right? So the NEP is also talking about more and more emphasis on assessment, formative assessment. Again, the NEP is talking about 360-degree reporting and emphasis on knowledge, skills, and disposition. We also know that CCE talks about comprehensive all-round development in cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains. Right? The third thing is that the NEP talks about involvement of peers, self, and teachers in the assessment process. And so does CCE, right? Under CCE, we had constantly talked about how peer assessment should happen, how self-assessment should happen, right? So there's a lot of synergy between what the new education policy is saying and what we are doing under CCE. And finally, a great emphasis on feedback, diagnosis, and development, right? So nowhere does the CCE talk about giving summative evaluations to children and giving report cards and lots of grading, right? And complicated gradings. It talks very clearly about giving feedback, diagnosis, and all of that leading to development, right? So if you see that there is a lot of synergy, synchronization between what the CCE policy was talking about and what the new education policy is also talking about in terms of the larger principles, right? However, we all understand and all of you have shared that there were a lot of issues and challenges in doing CCE. So this is a summary of all that you have shared, that yes, there are conceptual issues. Very often in our country, what has happened also in Chhattisgarh, that teachers have thought that continuous का मतलब होता है कि बार बार बच्चे का मूल्यांकन करते रहो, बार बार टेस्ट देते रहो, पर वो सही मायने में कंटिन्यूस असेसमेंट नहीं होता है, राइट? हमने ये भी देखा कि कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव के अंतर्गत को स्कोलास्टिक्स को बिल्कुल भी महत्वता नहीं दी जा रही थी और उसको एक सब्जेक्ट के तौर पर रख के छोड़ दिया गया था, लेकिन पोस्ट स्कोलास्टिक एरिया से बच्चों का जो अफेक्टिव डोमेन में या साइकोमोटर डोमेन में जो डेवलपमेंट होता है उसके ऊपर ज्यादा जोर नहीं दिया जा रहा था. So conceptually that was a big problem. And many of you have shared that ये CCE के अंतर्गत लोगों को लगने लगा कि अरे एग्जाम ही नहीं होना है. एंड बिकॉज हमने कल्चरली असेसमेंट को इतना ज्यादा इवैल्यूएशन के तौर पर ही देखा है कि घरों पर भी लोगों को लगने लगा एग्जाम नहीं है तो पढ़ना क्या है. सो मच सो दैट आवर चिल्ड्रेन ऑल्सो हैव गॉट इंडोक्ट्रिनेटेड इन सच अ मैनर कि एग्जाम होने पे ही पढ़ेंगे, है ना? So somewhere the entire conceptual basis of CCE was challenged, and what we ended up doing was खाना पूर्ति, है ना? हमने औपचारिक तौर पर रिकॉर्ड भरे, फॉर्मेट्स भरे, उनको हमारे पास एनालाइज करने का समय नहीं मिला क्योंकि आप में से कईयों ने कहा है कि कक्षा में क्लास साइजेस बहुत बड़े थे. Teachers did not have the time to give individualized attention. There was so much documentation required. So all of that have been big implementation issues. And अगर हम इसको तांत्रिक तौर पर देखा जाए, अगर शिक्षा तंत्र के तौर पर देखा जाए तो ये भी हम पाते हैं कि प्री सर्विस एंड इन सर्विस में जो टीचर्स, प्री सर्विस में स्पेशली जो हमारे स्टूडेंट टीचर्स हैं जो बीएड और डीएड की पढ़ाई करते हैं, वो भी कभी भी उनके साथ भी सीसी होता हुआ नहीं नजर आता है. यू नो दैट द टीचर एजुकेटर्स डू नॉट डू सीसी इन देयर diets and the B.Ed colleges. And therefore, if you tell these student teachers who get appointed that अब आप CCE करो, they are absolutely lost. और इन सर्विस में भी जितना जहाँ तक मुझे पता है छत्तीसगढ़ में बहुत ज़्यादा कंसेप्चुअल वर्कशॉप्स इस पर कि फॉर्मेटिव असेसमेंट क्या होता है, कैसे किया जाए, बच्चों को फीडबैक कैसे दिया जाए, बच्चे को प्रोजेक्ट कैसे बनवाए जाए, रूब्रिक्स कैसे बनवाई जाए, इनके ऊपर बहुत ज़्यादा अवधारणात्मक लेवल पर बातचीत नहीं हुई है ना. ज़्यादातर बात आपकी क्रियान्वयन पर ही गई कि छमाही परीक्षा होगी, तिमाही परीक्षा होगी, फलाना नंबर ऑफ टेस्ट होगा, राइट. So the entire implementation has got affected, and this is a summary of what all of you have given me in your assignment. And rightly so, that because of all of this, we have not been able to do CCE correctly, right? So the crux of the matter for us, therefore, is that हमने CCE को poorly conceptualize किया, उसकी कई सारी बेसिक चीजों को हमने नहीं समझा, जैसे कि फॉर्मेटिव असेसमेंट, कंस्ट्रक्टिव फीडबैक, और इस कारण उसका इनइफेक्टिव इम्प्लीमेंटेशन हुआ है, राइट. So what we need to do, and this is because of all the systemic issues I spoke about and all the social issues, right? The pressure of exams and no exams, no learning and all of that. So what we really need to do, we need to make it happen. Whether CCE continues or not, the underlying principles of CCE, which is formative assessment, which is feedback, diagnosis, development, which is self-learning, peer learning, and which is assessment for and as learning, all those underlying principles of CCE have to be kept in mind, okay? Because the new education policy is also talking about that quite assertively. And this poor conceptualization has to get transformed into more thoughtful conceptualization and more effective implementation. Okay. So CCE को लेकर के we have to make a fundamental shift in the way we understand CCE and therefore we do CCE. So with this, I will take a short pause, and before I move to the next 15-20 minutes of what I want to say, any thoughts, any questions? We can spend a couple of minutes. Under CCE अगर आपके कोई और विचार हैं.
Hello, I'm
Ji.
Arghya Gupta from Bilaspur.
Ji,
I
sir.
think ma'am, the assessment system, which is at present followed in our school, especially in primary and middle schools, it is not sufficient. I think the teachers assess their students in a plus way, that they get the much more. Their quality is just upgraded by the teachers, so they don't have.
Right. So the
And I think there should be an outer body for the assessment of students. Not the same school, not the same teachers should assess the students, but in district level and block levels, there should be an assessment committee which should go to each and every school, and they should assess the students. Only after we will be able to get the proper result, because teachers think, in school teachers think that it is their responsibility to pass the students,
yes,
to get better marks to students, to assess them better, to show their own ability and capacity.
correct, right.
And because of that, we see the worst condition of our student during the last 10 years.
Yes, sir.
We should keep it in mind that there is a huge amla of our teachers in education departments. There is under DO, there is assistant DOs, and in block level there are BOs, ABOs, CSCs. What they do, they don't go in the field. They should go in field, and they should know the learning outcome of students once in a week, or in a twice in a month, whatever it may be. But they never go to school, and they never try to know their learning outcomes. What the students are learning in school. they should at least visit to schools and know the condition, real condition of the students.
Absolutely.
If we just get the last 3 years data, that how many BOs and ABOs and CSEs moved to how many schools and at what times they evaluate the students, they assess the students, and they try to know the learning outcomes. So written learning outcomes and learning capacity of each and every class of the students has been provided to them in written. We know that to the students of 4 and student 5 should what and what should he knows he should have a capacity. But there is no outer agencies for assessment, and the teachers of the same school assess their students better and better and better. And when they reach in high school, in class 9th, we realize that the students doesn't know how to read the lines. He doesn't know the tables of 10. We see a lot of weaknesses in students when his time of learning, when he has the capacity, he has the eagerness to know the world from class 1 to 8, he learns nothing. And he was assessed as a better and better and better students. That's the reason of the worst quality of the students in our primary and middle school levels. And the same students comes to high school, and it becomes very, very boring and burdensome for him to learn the syllabus and course of the high school levels.
Right.
We should, and in new, so far as new education policy is concerned, I think there should be certainly an outer agency made which should visit to schools, every schools, in block levels, in district levels, and students' capacity and caliber should be assessed in proper way.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Anyone?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes. Anyone else? Any thoughts on CCE? Any other thoughts?
Hello.
Yes, madam.
Hello.
Ji, madam.
I'm from Sukumar, Bilala Das, and I just want to say that our collector has started one project that's called Pragati. And last year we have started this Pragati project, and in that project we every month in last week of every month we take unit test, and the question paper is sent from the subjects, and they were distributed. They are distributed among the all the high schools and all the high schools, है ना? And this year this Pragati project is started from 6th to 12th, and now in Corona, because of Corona, we are giving the assignment to all the students, and in 15 they have to submit the assignment. And last month of we will take the we will give also. And from June and July, we have distributed the syllabus, and we have given the assignment to the students, and we have made the coordinator institution of secondary school and high schools, and from there we are distributing the assignment. And the students are very much interested to do that, and they are submitting the assignment also. Hello.
Yeah. Yes,
And
madam. Yes.
we will take the assignment also. And this project is very last year we have this project had given too much support to gain the position and we got first position in 10th, and we got sixth position in 12th secondary school board exams. So this project is very useful for us, and now it is our dream project, and the aim of and the object of this project is to encourage the student for study, because due to the Corona, only online classes are being going on, and the Dwar Mohalle classes is going on, and Sukma Dwar Mohalla to Mohalla classes is going on. Our collector has suggested to give the assignment and give the assessment
Yeah,
also. So
yeah.
we are distributing the assessment by
Correct.
PDF.
So what I wanted to do is also share with you some thoughts on assessment, how you can design assessment now during this corona time, and which will help you in assessing the student learning levels in a much better way, right? So what I'll do is I will quickly share a few thoughts with you.
Hello.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes,
Can
please,
I
ma'am.
speak something? Yeah.
Yes, madam, please.
For assignment, Kana, we have already made one committee to generate assignment and assessment. So are in the committee, and we have also one committee to distribute assignment and assessment, and we have one another committee to motivate the students and inspire the students to do so. We have subject specialists in middle school, also high school, higher secondary school. Three and from all the blocks, we have three blocks: Chandigarh, Sukma, and Konta. And from three blocks, we are each and every block we have made two teachers for each subject, and six teachers are the committee of one subject. One committee of one subject. For example, for Hindi, there are six subjects in. There are six teachers in for Hindi in middle section, and there are six teachers in high school and higher secondary section. So they all are making the question papers and the syllabus and the prospectus and the all assessment courses.
Right, right.
Thank you.
So a lot of efforts are happening, I understand, and it is going to take time. But it's important to understand that as all, because you all are part of the flagship program of the Chhattisgarh government, and you will end up being model schools. So it is important that you are determined and committed to make a shift happen, right? A shift from summative evaluation to more formative assessments to better student learning, right? And it is only possible if there is continuing professional development of teachers, of principals, of everyone in all three aspects of assessment, right? So how we plan assessments, how we do assessments, and how we use assessments, right? So in all three, we have to focus on. If we are only doing assessment, but we are not planning about it properly, or we are not using the assessment findings, then it is not going to be of any use, okay? So what we will do is in the next 1 hour, we will also talk a little bit about using assessment. But before I end, I think two things I want to say. I think for planning all your assessments, you should use the NCERT learning outcomes as the basis. There is no need to refer to any other document. The NCERT, yeah. So the NCERT learning outcomes has been adopted by Chhattisgarh also. You can use that. And what I will suggest to you is that you should encourage your teachers to report child's progress for each learning outcome. So like sir was saying that when other officials come, they can assess the children on the learning outcome. So it's important that you also make your teachers assess the learning outcomes for each child, right? And when you're assessing the learning outcomes, you can become a little more specific. So what you can do is you can also break up your learning outcomes into indicators. So there was a short exercise I had done with Vidya Dange madam, which was on breaking outcomes into indicators. So just to give you a sample, you can, if you have a big learning outcome, like this is a learning outcome in English, recite simple rhymes with action, right? So you can break this big learning outcome into small learning indicators, right? So you can say that, okay, is the child able to repeat the rhymes after the teacher? Is the child able to recite with intonations? Is the child able to recite with others in the group? Or is the child able to recite by himself? Okay. And then you can, for each child, you can say whether the child has fully achieved, partially achieved, or not achieved. Somebody's phone is not on mute. Please mute your phone. So like this, you can break up when you're planning the assessment. I will encourage all the principals that when you're planning your assessment, you break your learning outcomes into specific learning indicators, right? So this is one example for language. You can also do this for mathematics. Acha, this Sai sir, your phone is not on mute. Can you please mute your phone? Yeah. So you can like this also break it up for mathematics, right? So what will happen is that when you break up a big learning outcome into small indicators, you are also able to design specific activities. Okay. And the last thing I wanted to talk to you is about what is called as designing authentic assessment, right? So in today's world, we are talking a lot about performance-based assessments. Assessments where children have to demonstrate their performance by actively engaging with the content. So in this, it is and now with the corona time, you can give children projects. So you can give them simple projects. The project could be something as simple as, talk to 5 members in your family and paste their pictures and write their names and write their age and write their hobbies and write any one sentence about them. This is a very beautiful way of help getting children to write something and practice their writing skills, and you can collect the children's answers, and then in your mohalla classes, in your padhai tohar dwar, your program, where you are doing community based teaching, or in your regular classes or in your online classes, you can give these simple projects and then do a one on one child wise assessment that how is the child writing. So instead of making the child write lines after lines in the cursive writing textbook, because yours is English medium school also, right? So there is an additional complication. So like that, you can give some interesting projects. If they are smaller children, you can just tell them to paste a picture of their family members, or if they don't have a photograph, they can just draw the picture and just write one word about that family member, right? And you can help the child. So through that, the child can learn about alphabets, and slowly can learn about words. So many projects can be given for high school. You know that there are many projects you can give in science, social science, but give slightly long projects which you can use, where children can perform and demonstrate their skills. You can develop portfolios. So in the next 3-4 months until schools reopen, you can tell children to put all their work in one place, like a file, where whatever written work they are doing, if they have done some project, if they have done some maths worksheets, you can put it all together. And then once the school reopens, you can ask the children to bring those portfolios, and you can self-assess, you can analyze how is it that the child was learning through this time, right? So portfolios can be maintained for the children. For older children, you can ask them to do surveys, experiments. There's a very beautiful experiment in science that we do on Ghulanshilta, na, solubility. You can give the children simple examples कि आप चीनी, नमक और हल्दी, इन तीनों चीजों को एक ग्लास पानी में इस मात्रा में भिगोइए, है ना? और ये आप नोट करिए कि कौन सा जल्दी घुल रहा था, पहला कि कौन सा घुल रहा था, दूसरा कौन सा जल्दी घुल रहा था, और कौन सा सबसे समय ले रहा था, और अगर उनके कुछ और अवलोकन हो. And children can make a nice one-page, note on that, and on the basis of that, you can introduce and discuss the concept of solubility and of soluble and insoluble substances. इसी तरह से कई एक्सपेरिमेंट बच्चे घर पे खुद कर सकते हैं, है ना? About objects which will sink, objects which will float. So you can give them different things, जो वो एक बकेट पानी में डालकर देखें कि ये डूब जाती है कि ये तैरती है. So many experiments children can do. They can watch, they can sow a seed and watch it germinate and grow into a plant. So you can talk about germination and plant growth. तो इस तरह के कई एक्सपेरिमेंट्स आप बच्चों से करवा सकते हैं इस दौरान, क्योंकि ये सारी सिंपल चीज़ों के माध्यम से एक्सपेरिमेंट होते हैं, और इससे बच्चे एक्टिवली एंगेज्ड भी रहेंगे, और कुछ कॉन्सेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी भी उनको मिल रही होगी. साथ ही आप बच्चों को ओरल मौखिक प्रेजेंटेशंस करवा सकते हैं. तो एक दिन कक्षा में आप कह सकते हैं कि आज हम सब बच्चों से ये बात सुनेंगे कि आपने अपने पिछले 1 सप्ताह में आपने अपने घर पे किस तरह से साफ-सफाई मेंटेन करने में और या साफ-सफाई रखने में अपने घर वालों को आपने किस तरह से मदद की, है ना? तो सभी बच्चे 5 मिनट के लिए इस चीज़ पर बात करेंगे। तो उससे क्या होगा कि देखिए, भाषा सीखने का मतलब क्या होता है? भाषा सीखने का मतलब ये होता है कि आप अपनी बात को बेबाक तौर पर रख सकें, है ना? दैट इज़ द कोर आइडिया ऑफ लैंग्वेज, दैट यू आर एबल टू कम्युनिकेट व्हाट you want to say with confidence and with coherence. So encourage you develop those skills among children during this time. कोई बात नहीं अगर 4-5 कहानी कविता ना भी पढ़े, but if you are helping children to become good confident communicators, you have given them lifelong learning skills of language, right? So encourage them to do oral presentations. Or else if you have taught them a poem, ask them to come and share their views about the poem, their thoughts about the poem. रटी रटाई पोएम का उनको रेसिटेशन करने का जरूरत नहीं है, बट यू कैन आस्क देम टू कम एंड गिव एन ओरल एक्सप्रेशन अबाउट उस पोएम में उनको क्या अच्छा लगा, है ना? तो ओरल प्रेजेंटेशंस पे हम ध्यान दें। हम ड्रामेटाइजेशंस भी कर सकते हैं। जब आप मोहल्ला क्लासरूम्स करते हैं, जब कम्युनिटी बेस्ड क्लासरूम्स आपके टीचर्स करते हैं, तो किसी दिन आप बच्चों को एक कोई टॉपिक दे दें और आप बच्चों को कहें कि इसके ऊपर आप कुछ एक छोटा-सा रोल प्ले करिए, है ना? तो इस दौरान जब रेगुलर टीचिंग हमारी एक तरह से ब्रेक हो रही है, it is very important that we use these authentic methods of assessment and try to keep our children engaged, है ना? और इन सबको आप जब करेंगे तो आप खुद ब खुद बच्चों को क्वांटिटेटिवली असेस नहीं कर पाएँगे। क्योंकि जब बच्चा कोई प्रोजेक्ट करेगा, आप ये नहीं कह सकते कि तुमको 8 में 10 मिला, है ना? अब प्रोजेक्ट के क्वालिटी के ऊपर कुछ अपना टिप्पणी देंगे, तो आप ये बोलेंगे कि भई तुम प्रोजेक्ट में अपने माँ-बाप की चित्र क्यों ऐसी लगाए हो, कुछ और लिख सकते हो क्या? तो ऑटोमैटिकली व्हेन यू स्टार्ट यूजिंग ऑथेंटिक असेसमेंट्स, the manner in which you give feedback to the children will become more qualitative and less quantitative, right? जब बच्चे ओरल प्रेजेंटेशन भी करेंगे तो आप उनको क्वालिटेटिव ही फीडबैक दे पाओगे। आप ये नहीं बोलोगे कि आपको ओरल प्रेजेंटेशन में 1 मिला है 10 में। इट डजंट मेक एनी सेंस, राइट? So you will be able to give them more qualitative feedback. So these are some suggestions of what assessment methods you can use now with children. Try to use less of examinations, test papers, use more of worksheets, projects, surveys, oral presentations, because this is the time for children to connect their real life experience with what's going on in their lives and with this interrupted learning. So I'd encourage all of you to use this and try to, make the most of the children's time. So before I hand over the discussion to my colleague Shilpi, who will talk to us about more methods of how to use assessment. See, conceptually, we have talked about 4 things in the last 3 hours, yesterday and today. And I just want to summarize this for us. The first thing is we are saying that, we need a big shift in the manner in which we do assessments. So we have to stop doing summative assessments and giving marks. जो भी आप करते हैं प्रगति में, इसमें उसमें वो आप जितना कम, मतलब जितना उसको बच्चे के क्वालिटी एनहांसमेंट के लिए कर सकें उतना करिए। सिर्फ रिकॉर्ड कीपिंग के लिए अगर आप कर रहे हैं तो वो बच्चे की लर्निंग में कोई फायदा नहीं हो रहा है ना? So we need to make a paradigm shift. We have to implement CCE in spirit. In spirit मतलब उसका सही मायने में जो उद्देश्य था उसके लिए हमें CCE को करना पड़ेगा. We also have to stop using traditional methods of assessment and use more authentic assessment, the kind that I described in the last 10 minutes. और इन सब में मेरा ये मानना है कि टीचर को आपको ऑटोनॉमी देनी पड़ेगी। अगर टीचर के सर पे कोई बैठा रहे जो कि कंटिन्यूअसली टीचर को बोले कि आप यूनिट टेस्ट लो, आप वीकली टेस्ट लो, तो क्या होता है कि धीरे-धीरे टीचर कट ऑफ हो जाता है। उसको लगता है कि ये मेरी ज़िम्मेदारी नहीं है कि ये बच्चे सीखें, है ना? तो कहीं न कहीं हमको टीचर के मोटिवेशन पे, टीचर की प्रोफेशनल डेवलपमेंट में काम करने की ज़रूरत है कि वो अच्छे से असेसमेंट को प्लान कर सके और उसको अच्छे से डिज़ाइन कर सके। So with this, I would like to take a break from the presentation. If any of you have any last thoughts, maybe you can share, and then we will take a 5-minute break and start our next session. So anyone, any thoughts on methods of authentic assessment or anything else? Okay. Yes, and create learning outcome based assessment report cards, where on each learning outcome, and you can decide to take 4-5 learning outcomes only. You need not take many learning outcomes. तो आप भाषा में, गणित में, या विज्ञान में, सामाजिक विज्ञान में, अंग्रेजी में, you can take 4-5 key learning outcomes. And then the teachers can design specific assessments activities which are informal in a fun way, and then they can assess the students and give a lot of comments to the students in terms of how they are doing, right? So agar mathematics mein there is something on mathematical operations, then the teachers can give some worksheets where children are performing certain mathematical operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and the teacher can give a lot of qualitative feedback on the basis of that. And you can use a lot of online available worksheets काफी सारे available है online. In fact हमारी जो स्कूल है अजीम प्रेम जी स्कूल धमतरी में, उस स्कूल में भी टीचर्स लोग काफी सारी वर्कशीट्स बना रहे हैं. तो आई एम श्योर कि अगर if you all want, then teachers from Azim Premji schools can share those worksheets with all of us. So our team in Chhattisgarh can help you with getting those worksheets. ख्याल इसमें सिर्फ हमें ये रखना है कि the idea is not to rote learn the answers of the worksheet. The idea is to help in engaging the children with the content, है ना? तो उसके ऊपर हमें थोड़ा सा ध्यान रखना होगा. Any other questions? Any other one? Any other friends have any more questions or any comments? Okay. So what we will do is we will take a 5-minute break up to 5 minutes past 4:05, and then I will hand over it to Shilpi Banerjee, my colleague, Dr. Shilpi Banerjee from Azim Premji University. She will take us through the next session, which is about how we can use assessment for better student learning. Okay. So let us resume at 4:05.
मेरी आवाज आ रही है? Are you all able to hear me?
Yes, good afternoon, madam.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Usha ma'am. So can we start? Can we start the second session for today? If you all are back, we can start. Last 1.5 days, yesterday and today, Achal spoke in detail about 2 stages or 2 steps of assessment. Okay. So what all she spoke about? She discussed about how do we plan assessment. Okay. And then after planning, the next step is to conduct the assessments, right? So in last 3 hours, Achal spoke in detail about how do we plan good assessment. Okay, if we are referring the learning outcomes, if we are designing the assessments in alignment with the learning outcomes, okay, there are a few things which we should keep in mind while we are planning the assessments, isn't it? Then she also spoke about a few techniques of doing assessment, right? She spoke about designing authentic assessment like projects, portfolios, okay, in which all these assessments are learner-centered and they are performance-based, right? So these were the two things we have discussed. Can all of you go on mute, please? Okay, and then while we have discussed planning assessment and doing assessment, we have also discussed about something called as SMART, right? So while we are planning assessment and doing assessment, we should keep in mind the SMART principles. That is, our assessment should be student specific, right? They should be empowering for the learner. They should be aligned to the outcome. The assessment should be relevant in nature, and the assessment should also involve some sort of teamwork, right? So these were a few principles which Achar has discussed with you. Okay, now today's next 1 hour we will spend about discussing about the third important step of assessment, that is, how do we use assessment? The third step. Okay, and if we are able to use our assessments well, in turn, it will act as a feedback for your next assessment. Okay, so let us try and understand how our assessments can act as a feedback to plan our assessments better. All right. So before I start with a discussion on using assessment, let me hear from some of you that how do teachers in your school use the assessment results? In what all ways assessment results are used? Can some of you unmute and please help me understand how does the teacher use assessment results in your schools? Yes, anyone? How are the assessment results used? Is my question clear to you all? So we have discussed about projects, we have discussed about
Hello?
portfolios. Yes?
Hello.
Yes, Kamla ma'am?
Ma'am, we can suppose we give students for assessments to make something like models or such sorts. We can keep them in the laboratory. We can display any articles on anything written by the students on the display board so that it can be used and it can be made useful for other students also.
All right, okay. So one thing is probably it can be motivating for other students. That is what you are saying. And it will be motivating for the student who has developed it, model. Okay. But let me try to rephrase my question. So what I mean to say here is, if suppose you have given suppose an addition problem to your students. Okay, आपने अपने बच्चों को 2 नंबर ऐड करने के लिए कहा है, ठीक है? बच्चे ने कुछ 2 नंबर को ऐड किया और उसका एक आंसर आया, ठीक है? नाउ माय क्वेश्चन टू यू इज, जब आप असेसमेंट करते हैं और बच्चे उस असेसमेंट को परफॉर्म करते हैं, बच्चे उस असेसमेंट में उसमें अपने अपने रिस्पॉन्सेज देते हैं, उन रिस्पॉन्सेज को आप किस तरह से यूज करते हैं? आपने कुछ सवाल पूछा, आपने कुछ प्रोजेक्ट दिया, या आपने कुछ लिखित में बच्चे को कुछ लिखने के लिए बोला, तो इन सब चीजों को आप यूज कैसे करते हैं?
Hello.
जी,
To understand how students are performing in different subjects.
ओके, ऑलराइट, to understand how students are performing, ठीक है?
Yeah. And also to understand in which learning outcomes the children are weaker or stronger.
ऑलराइट, तो लर्निंग आउटकम वाइज परफॉर्मेंस मतलब आप ये भी देख सकते हैं कि किस स्किल में या कौन से कंटेंट में हाउ आर स्टूडेंट्स फेयरिंग इन ईच ऑफ द लर्निंग आउटकम. All right. Okay. Anything else you do with the assessments? हम लोग
The
पिछले
teacher
3
can,
जी
madam, the teacher can use the result to know the understanding of the student,
okay,
whether he or she has understood the topic
all
or
right,
the meaning of whatever was taught to him or her.
okay, yes.
And
So
also, to
Ma'am,
which level we have to go and make the child understand. Suppose on the basis of the assessments, a teacher can modulate herself or change herself in her teaching levels. If she has to go to more lower level to make the child understand, then also she can use those assessment
yeah,
results.
very nice. So you are saying that teacher can also modulate the pedagogy
Yeah.
and जैसे उषा मैम ने कहा
can
कि
use, ma'am,
probably
we
to
can use,
understand students
hello,
understanding. हाँ कोई
hello.
और गुप्ता सर
Yes,
आप बोल रहे हैं कुछ?
we can use the assessment for their future progress also. What are the possibility and at what rate and what in what way the students can progress in any particular subject or in all the subjects. We use it for their future
Yes, yes,
achievement, for their future
yeah.
better achievement for them.
Yes. So you are saying you are also you use assessment results to predict students performance, right? Prediction के
Yeah.
लिए भी कभी यूज किया जाता है कि
Yes.
फ्यूचर में बच्चा किस तरह से परफॉर्म करेगा. हाँ ठीक है. ठीक है, तो कुछ इनपुट्स हम मुझे आप लोगों के पास से मिल गए हैं. तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, as madam has said, probably the assessment results are used to modulate the pedagogy. Okay, that is one very useful application of assessment results. Okay, so based on how are my students learning, teachers go and try and make some changes in the teaching learning activities or use some different teaching learning models, isn't it? Other thing is probably giving a feedback to students that okay, you have understood so much and here there are some learning gaps and probably this is how you should address these problems. Okay, and as the something which you have missed, which you have not mentioned while I ask this question is sometimes assessments are also used for grading your students, right? Okay, so once you conduct assessment, you measure students' performance and based on the measurement, you try to make a judgment. You evaluate students' performance. Okay, here it is excellent performance. So based on the measurement on the assessment, okay, you try and make a judgment about students' performance, right? So assessment is also used to make a kind of judgment or give a grade or give some marks. Okay, so you can see that the assessment results can be used for various purposes, right? Now that we understand that it is very useful, and as Achal has rightly said that just by doing assessment we will not reach anywhere. It is very important that we use the assessment results. Okay, so what I will try and do is I will try to discuss about some principles of using assessment results through some examples from the classroom. So this is a conversation which is happening between a teacher and students in class 3, right? And this teacher is teaching EVS. Okay, and what is the chapter? Chapter is Air Around Us. Okay, Air Around Us is the chapter name. Okay, and teacher is making some kind of discussion in the classroom. Okay, so let me read this and that will make your understanding easier. So the first question which teacher asks is, so this is the first class. Okay, for this chapter, this is the first class. Okay, so teacher is asking, what is there around us? Most of the students answer, desk, chair. Some students say tree. One student say you. Teacher, you are around me. Okay. One of the students say Rashi. मेरे पास पूजा बैठी है, मेरे पास एक दीवार है, right? So these were different answers which a teacher gets for the same question, right? So teacher again asks, because teacher is not getting the answer which is expected. So the next question is, no, something which is present but cannot be seen. So a student answers, खुशबू, किसी दूसरे स्टूडेंट को भी इससे कुछ मदद मिलती है, और दूसरा स्टूडेंट बोलता है बदबू. टीचर देन सेज, टेल मी, व्हाट डू वी टेक इन एंड आउट ऑफ आवर नॉस्ट्रिल्स व्हाइल ब्रीदिंग? कीप योर फिंगर अंडर योर नोज एंड फील, राइट? एंड व्हाट डज द स्टूडेंट रिस्पॉन्ड? सांस, ब्रेथ. Okay. Teacher is still not happy with the answer. Teacher is not getting the answer which is expected. Okay. Now teacher says, isn't air coming out of your nostril? So, and in a loud voice, teacher says, there is air all around us. Okay. And now because teacher has said it so loudly with lot of assertion, to all the students in unison, they say, yes, ma'am. Okay, now teacher moves on to the next discussion, and teacher says, we are going to do some experiments today and learn about the relationships between air and combustion. We will see how air helps in the combustion. So basically teacher has moved to the next topic. Okay, now what do you think? What was happening in this class? Can you say that this is some kind of assessment? Will you consider this as assessment, one form of assessment? And how is teacher using assessment result here? Can some of you respond? Yes.
Yes, ma'am. It is also a kind of assessment. We can evaluate students' awareness. What things he sees around him or her, and we can also
Madam,
evaluate his intelligence also.
child is able to grasp what
How
madam is
intelligent
asking.
is the students about the environment, about the things around him.
Yeah. All right. Yes. And one more, madam was saying something. So madam said that if the child is able to understand the question or not. And Gupta sir, are you Gupta sir?
How much the child is able to grasp the concept of ma'am, what actually she is trying to ask.
Yeah.
If the child is very alert and has a means observation or grasping nature, he will immediately catch what madam is actually trying to ask in this subject.
Yeah. Okay. So you are saying that probably it is some problem with the comprehension, and Gupta sir is also saying that it is not about only that particular concept, it is about something else also, right? Isn't it? Now, if you see this conversation, this is a very important conversation which is happening, right? So as ma'am is saying, Sharma ma'am, that it is something related to the child's ability to comprehend the question, comprehend the teacher's question, right? But the way teacher is asking, even I will be, probably if I would have been in the place of that particular student, even I would have answered in this manner only, isn't it? So what I mean to say here is, say this is a child of class 3, right? And as stated in Piaget's theory, that in this particular age, a child learns from his or her experiences by seeing something, by touching something, right? Okay. So basically, whatever answers are coming from a child, they are from the experiences, okay, from all the 5 senses. seeing, touching, feeling, isn't it? So this is very much expected that a class 3 child can give such answer. For example, if when I asked this question to my son, he said, so now he is 10 years old, and his answer was that if we switch off the fan, we will not get any air in the room, because we get air only if the fan revolves around, right? That can be one kind of a misconception, because child thinks that air is not around me. Okay, air is there only when I switch on the fan. Okay, so these are a very important discussions to have with a child, so that we understand that what is child thinking. See, you will see that every child is thinking in a very different manner. Okay, so such assessment should definitely happen in the classroom, and this is a very informal kind of assessment where a teacher is having discussions, right? But the way teacher is using the student's response, that is not very healthy here, right? You see here, teacher is very willing and extremely keen to get the right answer from the student, isn't it? Teacher is not interested in, for example, khushbu, right? Which means student is able to feel it, right? Smell it, right? So teacher is not interested in that. So, but this is a very important information, right? One of the students said that saas. This is also a very useful answer, but teacher hasn't discussed anything on any of these answers, and teacher directly said, no, there is air all around us. Okay, so what I mean to say here is, when we conduct such assessment in the classroom informally, and suppose we are having some discussions in the classroom, then a very important point here to consider is that no answer is a wrong answer. This is the very first principle of using assessment. No answer is a wrong answer. As when Achal started today's discussion, I heard her saying that also, when she was saying that कल हम लोगों ने क्या सीखा, कल हम लोगों ने क्या discuss किया, isn't it? So she was saying that please don't hesitate to answer. No answer is a wrong answer, right? Because if we have to value each and every answer, right? And if we value each and every answer, then it becomes a right answer to understand more about students' thinking and learning. Isn't it? As Gupta sir rightly said, that this is not only about that particular concept, instead about other things also, that how is student able to relate one particular concept, okay, with child's prior knowledge, previous knowledge, with the context. Correct? So this is the first principle, that no answer is a wrong answer. So while we are conducting assessment, use the assessments in a manner that all answers are useful, meaningful, and it helps you to move ahead. Coming to the second principle. Now here you can see that this is again a EVS class, okay, and the question is, draw an elephant facing left and a mouse facing right. Okay, now the reason behind asking this question was, teacher wanted to understand if the child understand the concept of left and right. Okay, now what is there in the left side, what is there in the right side? So this was the objective behind asking this question. Okay, now what do you think of these answers? There are 4 students, Amit, Rahul, Sonia and Samira. This is not Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi and Amit Shah. So please don't read the answers using that lens. Okay. So if this is the question, what do you think about Amit's, Rahul's, Samira's and Sonia's answer? What do you think? Has the child understood the concept of left and right? Is something else coming out from these pictures? Yes. Anything which is coming when you are looking into the answers, responses, do you think Amit has understood the concept of left and right? Has Amit understood the concept of left and right? Here you can see that, yes, someone was speaking. Yeah, so here you can see that.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am.
Pandey sir, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me, sir. Amit has understood. Okay, so
Right
Amit
and
has,
left
yes,
piece of page, face of face of page. मैडम वो जो बनाया हुआ है पेज के
हाँ।
फेस के कारण
हाँ,
लेफ्ट पेज और राइट
हाँ।
पेज,
लेफ्ट में जाओ और
राइट पे
हाँ, तो ये अमित समझा है कि नहीं ये कॉन्सेप्ट?
समझा हुआ मैडम?
अमित समझ गया है, लेकिन ऐसा इसमें लिखा हुआ है ड्रॉ एन एलिफेंट, एलिफेंट जो बाईं तरफ देख रहा है और चूहा जो दाईं तरफ देख रहा है ना? चूहा तो दाईं तरफ नहीं देख रहा है, चूहा तो बाईं तरफ देख रहा है ना?
जी
अमित नहीं समझा है ना ये कॉन्सेप्ट?
पेज
अगर हम लोग राहुल को देखें या हम लोग समीरा का आंसर देखें तो हमको दिखेगा कि इन लोगों को लेफ्ट राइट का कॉन्सेप्ट समझ में आ गया है। क्या हम लोग को कुछ और चीज समझ में आ रही है क्या इन आंसर से? यहाँ चूहे के कितने पैर है? चूहे के 6 पैर है ना? तो शायद अमित को ऐसा लगता है जिस तरह से चूहा मूव होता है, चूहा जिस तरह से चलता है, चूहा बहुत तेज तेज चलता है ना? तो शायद अमित को लगता है कि चूहा एक एनिमल नहीं है, mouse is not an animal, mouse is an insect, and insect has multiple legs, so probably chooha or mouse can have also multiple legs, right? Here you can see that the way Rahul has drawn both the drawings of hathi, elephant and chooha of same dimension, similar dimension, isn't it? यहाँ पर the focus went on drawing the सब details, nostrils भी बनाया है, you can see the eyes also, right? So you can see that probably this child doesn't understand that elephant is far bigger as compared to the mouse, right? Here child was very much interested in going into the details, right? Here you can see that the way Amit has drawn 4 different legs, right? Other students have drawn in a very conventional manner, right? But the question was same, but you are getting different answers from all the students, right? So this is one advantage of asking open-ended question. So if you ask any open-ended question, you will be able to see each and every child's perspective about a concept, right? So you can see that every child has a different perspective, right? Same concept, but the perspective is different, right? The focus is different. The way Sonia has drawn, Sonia has decorated the elephant a lot, right? Which means Sonia has seen it in some 26th January or 15th August wala parade, okay, where elephant is decorated, isn't it? Here you can see that Amit has a misconception between animals and insects, right? Rahul has a misconception about big and small, correct? Isn't it? And what I mean to say here is, even if you ask a very straightforward question about one particular concept, okay, the same question can give you multiple perspectives about students thinking, understanding, okay, because if we go by constructivist principle, every child is constructing knowledge, okay, in his or her own context. Even if you're giving one kind of knowledge, even if you're delivering one kind of knowledge, but the way student is constructing the knowledge, that will differ based on the context. Okay, so here the second principle will be that when you ask a question, when you ask an open-ended question, you are basically opening a Pandora box. Okay, where you are not only getting the answer for that particular question, but you are able to gather very useful, important insights about students' construction of knowledge, right? The students' answer to a question reveals details about how they observe, absorb, process information, because every student is processing information in a different manner. You are giving the same information, but student is processing information in a different manner through his or her own context or own prior knowledge, isn't it? So this is the second principle. First principle was no question, no answer is a wrong answer. Second, every question's response, and if it is an open-ended question, the responses are like you are opened one Pandora box where you are able to see insights, you are able to gather insights about students thinking, the way students are absorbing, processing information, okay, and this particular information you can use and adapt in your pedagogy. The third principle of using assessment will be derived from this particular sample. Okay, now if you see this particular sample, the question is for class 3 mathematics classroom, and the question is perform subtraction for the following problems. Okay, so this is, I think you will need some time to go through this. Okay, so take some 1 minute time and see students' responses. So whatever is marked in blue, okay, whatever is crossed in blue, they are incorrect. Okay, now can you understand anything by looking into this worksheet about students' understanding? मिश्रा सर, आप कुछ बोल रहे हैं? क्या लगता है बच्चे ने कितना सीखा और क्या नहीं सीखा? पहले 10 देख लीजिए, इसमें 25 है, आप पहले 10 देखकर बताइए कि बच्चे ने क्या सीखा है और क्या लग रहा है, कहाँ गलती कर रहा है, कुछ पैटर्न समझ में आ रहा है क्या?
हेलो
ये पांडे सर।
जी मैम, जितना भी बड़ा डिजिट है उसमें छोटे वाले को माइनस कर देता है।
हाँ
जी,
और एडिशन समझ में आ गया है बच्चे को?
इसमें भी गलती किया है मैडम।
देखिए हर जगह सब्ट्रैक्शन में किया है ना?
जी
एडिशन में कहीं पर भी गलती नहीं की है। तो इसमें ये
जी।
समझ में आ रहा है, ये देखकर आपने बिल्कुल सही कहा है कि बच्चे को शायद ये लगता है कि सिर्फ छोटा नंबर को ही बड़े नंबर से सब्ट्रैक्ट कर सकते हैं। Child hasn't understood the concept of borrowing, right? Isn't it? यहाँ आप देखेंगे जब क्वेश्चन है 47 minus 39, ओके, बच्चे ने क्या किया है, जो 9 को 7 से सब्ट्रैक्ट कर दिया है ना? 9 minus 7 is 2. Similarly, here also, suppose in question number 6, okay, here also child has said 8 minus 5. ओके, तो बच्चे को ये नहीं पता है कि जो नीचे लिखा हुआ है नंबर, उस नंबर को ऊपर दिए गए नंबर से सब्ट्रैक्ट करना है। isn't it? And you can see that in everywhere, every place, there is a problem with subtracting two numbers, isn't it? And what is the misconception he has? The misconception he has is that the number which is written below the first number should be subtracted from the first number. That is first. And second, child hasn't understood the concept of borrowing. उसको जो बड़ा नंबर दिख रहा है उसको वो छोटे नंबर से घटा दे रहा है ना? यही पैटर्न नजर आ रहा है. So whenever you are conducting an assessment, instead of just scratching the answers that this is not right, this is not right, this is not right, okay, assessment gives you an opportunity to identify the strengths and weaknesses, okay, for every student. Okay, now we have seen that that particular student has what are that particular student's strength? Student has understood the concept of addition, right? Student understands that there is, if it is plus, so plus मतलब add करना है, minus है तो subtract करना है. At least बच्चे को operator की समझ आ गई है. Okay, student has also understood the concept of two-digit addition, right? इतना समझ में आ गया है. बच्चे को क्या समझ में नहीं आया है? बच्चे को ये समझ में नहीं आया है. The weakness is in the borrowing concept. Okay, child hasn't understood the concept of borrowing, isn't it? वो ऊपर जो लिखा है, अगर ऊपर का नंबर छोटा है तो वो नीचे को समझ लीजिए ऊपर 3 लिखा है और नीचे 8 लिखा है, so 8 minus 3 is 5. Instead he should make it 13 minus 5 by borrowing, isn't it? So that is one of the weakness of this particular student, right? So the third principle of using assessment result is whenever you conduct assessment, you should try and identify the strengths and weaknesses of that particular student. Okay, it shouldn't end there. Okay, the discussion should start there. Okay, assessment should not be considered as the end, right? Instead, assessment should be considered as the beginning as a new beginning. Okay. Considering this example, I think I have given you in your assignment, and some of you have attempted the assignment also. Okay. Now, if you can see here, the question is, this is a question for class 5 mathematics. Okay. Now the question is, Tara is measuring the length of a pencil with the help of a broken scale. Okay. What is the length of the pencil given below? Okay, it's a multiple choice question. Options are 2 centimeter, 8 centimeter, 10 centimeter, and 12 centimeter. Okay. Now, if you see the percentage of students who have selected one particular option, you can see that majority of the students have selected C, option C, right? 56% of the student has said that the right answer is 10 centimeter, right? The length of the pencil is 10 centimeter. Okay. और कितने प्रतिशत बच्चों ने सही उत्तर दिया है? Just 17%. Only 17% students have responded it correctly, while these students have they have some misconception, one particular misconception, isn't it? Now, from the answers which I have got in the Google form, okay, some of you have given me very beautiful, very nice answers. Okay, so let me share that with you. So, what I mean to say here is, assessment doesn't end here that अरे मेरे बच्चों ने ये concept नहीं सीखा. Okay, अभी भी आधे से ज़्यादा बच्चे इसको गलत समझ रहे हैं. Instead, ये assessment ये आपके लिए एक जरिया होना चाहिए बच्चों की समझ को ठीक से समझने के लिए और अपना pedagogy को adapt करने के लिए. आप में से कुछ लोगों ने मुझे कुछ अच्छे आंसर्स दिए हैं, ठीक है? उसको मैंने एक ढांचे में सजाया है, ठीक है? So basically, whenever you get responses from students, okay, so there are 3 important inferences which we can draw. First, what does the student know? बच्चों को क्या क्या आता है? What the student does not know, and what can I do to help them learn the concept better? Okay, so in assessment, in the area of in the literature of assessment, this particular process is called as response analysis. Okay, so this is one particular technique of analyzing students' response. Okay, and in research it is called as response analysis. तो पहले आप देख रहे हैं कि बच्चे को क्या क्या आता है, right? Now Amit sir has written in his response sheet that it is a good thing to understand that most of the students understand that length of an object is the number on the scale corresponding to the end point. Okay, so it's a good start. Now we can take the learning ahead. So he has taken it very positively. He said, अच्छा इतना तो समझ में आ गया है कि जो end point है वही इस स्केल इस पेंसिल का लेंथ है, राइट? चलिए इतना तो समझ में आ गया है. तो ये मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा अमित सर के आंसर में कि you have taken it positively. Now what can we do next? Okay. वहीं अंजू मैम ने कहा कि इससे हमको ये पता चल रहा है कि 56% बच्चे अभी भी 10 सेंटीमीटर ही स्केल का लेंथ और ये पेंसिल का लेंथ मानते हैं. ठीक है. Now I have got a few answers for what the student does not know. Pandey sir has written that measurement is relative to a reference point, right? This is a very nice answer which I got from Pandey sir that आप जब measure करेंगे तो आपको एक reference point चाहिए. यहाँ से कितना लंबा है ना? आपको reference होना बहुत जरूरी है और अगर reference नहीं होगा तो आपका measurement incorrect होगा, right? And what is, yes Pandey sir, do you want to add?
Thanks, ma'am. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, so it's a very good insight, right? And Usha madam has said that conceptualization of length as the distance to be read between 2 points, right? So length जो है, length वो end point को नहीं दर्शाता है. Length इसको दर्शाता है कि end point और starting point का जो difference है, right? वो है आपका length. Right, again coming back to the reference, isn't it? So we from your answer I could make out that you have nicely categorized it into 2 categories. What does the student know? What the student does not know. ठीक है, चलिए इतना तो हम लोग समझ गए एक response को देखकर. ठीक है. Now the next thing which comes is what can I do to help them learn the concept better? ठीक है, क्योंकि हम तो बोल ही रहे हैं कि असेसमेंट आपका एक जरिया है टीचिंग लर्निंग को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए. टीचिंग लर्निंग वहां खत्म नहीं होती, इंस्टेड योर टीचिंग लर्निंग मूव्स अहेड थ्रू असेसमेंट. So any insights from you all that how will you take this concept again to the child? What kind of changes will you make in the pedagogy? कोई बता सकता है कि किस तरह से इस चीज को पढ़ाया जाना चाहिए ताकि बच्चे सीख जाए ये कॉन्सेप्ट?
हेलो
जी पांडे सर.
ये बोलना चाह रहा था मैडम इसमें कि फ्रेम ऑफ मेजरमेंट से फ्रेम ऑफ रेफरेंस से किया जाना चाहिए मेजरमेंट. कोई चीज बड़ा है तभी वो छोटा भी हो.
तो ये कह रहे हैं कि आपने ये बोला कि शायद हम लोगों ने नापना सिखा दिया था लेकिन हमने रेफरेंस पॉइंट्स को लेकर नापना नहीं सिखाया था. So probably when we take this concept ahead in the classroom, we should try and emphasize more on the reference point. And also we should also try and tell them that length is the distance between the starting 2 points. 2 points होना बहुत जरूरी है. पहला वाला reference point है और जो next वाला point है वो आपका end point है. So इन दोनों चीजों के बीच में जो difference होता है, distance होता है, वो length है. So probably these concepts should be again taught, again brushed up in the classroom to improve students' performance. So coming to our fourth principle, that you should use the assessment results in such a manner that it provides some sort of scaffolding to your students, right? Scaffolding का मतलब होता है कि जब whenever you see a new building which is under construction, you will see a parallel grid of iron rods, है ना? होता है ना, iron rods का एक grid होता है, and when the building is ready, you remove those iron rods, right? You remove those parallel iron rods which were there to support the building, newly constructed building, right? So here also your assessment, whenever you conduct an assessment, you should first of all try and find out that where the learner is now, okay, where the learner is going, okay, and how can I get there? How do I get there? Okay, this will be possible only when we understand that what child hasn't understood yet. Okay, and then provide the necessary scaffolding, necessary support in the learning. क्योंकि बच्चे को आधा तो समझ में आ गया, अब थोड़ा सपोर्ट अगर मिलेगा तो बच्चा सीख जाएगा. Okay. Coming to my fifth principle of using assessment result. So again, these are some of the worksheets, worksheets of students. Okay, this is some kind of spelling test which has happened in a classroom. And आपको दिख रहा होगा कि बच्चे ने बहुत कलरफुल पेन से आंसर लिखा है. Generally, student writes such answer, right, in a beautiful handwriting. And how the teacher has marked, here you can see that there is one mistake. Probably this is a spelling mistake here, right? And teacher hasn't marked this as wrong or right, but teacher has said 9.5 out of 10. यहाँ के assessment result को use किया गया है क्या? कहीं आपको दिखाई दे रहा है कि assessment result को use किया जा रहा है? यहाँ if the assessment results are used to mark a student, give some grades, give some marks, which means you are ending the learning process there, right? You are not starting, you are not scaffolding, you are not giving any kind of feedback. Instead, you are stopping the learning process there. Okay, आपको इतना आ गया है, you are here, right? But how do you reach the end point? There is no feedback on that. Okay. Again, here if you see one question, one worksheet, draw any picture you want in a given box. Describe the picture in one sentence. Here child has drawn a bus, school bus, okay, and over the school bus child has written big red bus. Okay, another drawing a child has drawn some building and a big gate, and child has written my school. Okay, these are very nice drawings, right? Nice pictures child has drawn, and child has also written something on that. But what has the teacher done? 0. Cross and 0. Again, if you see the second question, describe the picture in 2 to 3 sentences. Okay, so this is a picture of a nest. Okay, and what is the child's answer? Child has written, where is the bird? I can see the nest. Where is the bird? Okay, again teacher has said no, it's a wrong answer. Okay, and what is the feedback? Teacher has said this is not a sentence. Okay, which means this question is not a sentence. Question is of course a sentence, right? So which means teacher is expecting one particular answer, and if the teacher is not getting that answer, teacher is marking that answer wrong. So the fifth and the last important principle of using assessment result is feedback should be provided to students' answer. It can improve students' confidence, self-awareness, enthusiasm for learning. And if feedback are not provided, which means you are basically trying to stop the learning process, there is no constructive feedback, right? What will a child understand? If you give a wrong, child will not understand anything. Okay, what are the areas of strengths? What are the areas of weaknesses? So feedback is also very important. Okay, so to summarize, when you want to use your assessment result, we have seen through examples that it should help in gauging the prior knowledge. Okay, we have seen one example. The teacher was talking about air around us. Okay, so all answers, no answer is a wrong answer. Basically, every answer is giving you a hint to move ahead, right? So this is the first principle. The second principle is you should use the assessment result in such a manner that you are able to understand how a child is processing the knowledge, right? How a child is constructing a knowledge. Here we have seen the example of elephant and a mouse, right? So every child was constructing the same piece of knowledge in a different manner because of a different kind of a context and different kind of prior knowledge. Okay. Third principle is assessment results should be used to identify the strengths and weaknesses, right? We have seen an example of subtraction. Okay, there we have seen that student understands the concept of addition, but student doesn't understand the concept of subtraction. Okay, next is you should your assessment result should be used in a manner that it provides necessary scaffolding to the student. राइट इतना आप आ गए हो, इतना पहुंच गए हो, अब अंत तक कैसे पहुंचना है उसके लिए यू शुड बी योर असेसमेंट शुड बी able to provide necessary scaffolding, necessary support. And the last and the most important thing is your assessment result should be used to give constructive feedback to the student, right, to improve learning. So this is the summary of our today's discussion. This is how we are going to use classroom-based assessment results. Okay, I will take a pause here, and if you have any questions or any suggestions which you have for tomorrow, we can take it up. So I wanted to ask you one question. So today I have discussed about how do we use classroom-based assessment results. Okay. If some of you have taken the quiz which I have given, the pre-quiz which I have given yesterday, okay, and there you can see that there was a question on large-scale assessment, and there was also a question on board exams. Okay, so I would like to ask you all that will it be helpful for you to understand how are Chhattisgarh students performing in a large scale assessment, say NAS, which is conducted by NCERT? Should we take that discussion tomorrow? So we will also be discussing about the classroom processes. Okay, we will also be discussing about the feedback. So these are a few things which is there in the agenda for our discussion tomorrow. Now, my question to you is, will you be interested in a discussion of how can you use large-scale assessment results? Today we have discussed about how can we use classroom-based assessment results. Or if you have any questions, whatever we have discussed till today, or any suggestions, any reflections, that also you can share. उषा मैम, मंजू मैम, पांडे सर, इन लोगों को मैं पहचानती हूँ. गुप्ता सर.
No question at all, ma'am. Tomorrow we will discuss about the National Assessment Survey. Okay.
Yeah, will you be interested in that discussion, sir? Will it be useful for you all to understand? Then we will
Yes,
take
madam.
discussion.
Yes, madam. It will be very useful.
All right. Okay. All right, Usha ma'am. Okay. Yeah. So any question? We have 3 minutes remaining. Any last thoughts? So I would encourage you all to take up the pre-quiz which I have given, and that will really add value to our sessions. tomorrow, because I will be able to understand your doubts, your concerns, your opinions, your reflections about those assessments. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other question? So whatever we have discussed today we will begin with a short quiz. Okay, so that we all understand that how much we have absorbed, whatever discussions have gone so far.
Thank you, madam. You described things in a very interesting and beautiful manner. We learn so many new things, and we will teach this teaching in our school also. Thank you, madam.
Dr. Gupta sir. So I will
Yes,
be
ma'am.
I will be looking forward to connect with you all tomorrow, and we will be discussing about how do we use large scale assessment results. Okay. So have a very good evening, and please try and fill the pre-quiz which I have given. That will really make the discussion more enriching. Okay, because online platform has some constraints. Otherwise, हम लोग तो अगर आपस में फेस टू फेस बैठे होते तो बहुत अच्छा डिस्कशन हो रहा होता। तो ये प्री क्विज एक जरिया है आप लोगों को ज्यादा जानने का, तो एक बार उसको अटेंड करेंगे तो अच्छा रहेगा। सो लेट अस मीट टुमारो। हैव अ वेरी नाइस गुड इवनिंग। प्लीज हैव अ रिलैक्स इवनिंग एंड सी यू ऑल टुमारो। गुड बाय।
Okay.
Thank you, madam.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So we will meet again tomorrow.
यस सर।
Okay, thank you, and all the participants.
Thanks, Deepak sir.
Hello.